day, everyone. I am Jamaica Ogis Bulawan and I am your reporter for today. And my topic is all about writing headlines. Headline is the first thing readers see when they come across an article or a news piece. They play a crucial role in capturing readers' attention and encouraging them to read further. Writing an effective headline requires skill and practice, as they need to be both engaging and informative. A well-crafted headline can make a difference between a reader scrolling past your content or a click on it to read more. Well, in this report, I'm going to discuss about the functions of headline, structure of headline, the do's and don'ts in writing traditional headlines, punctuating headlines, preparing headline schedule, and headline vocabulary. So without further ado, let us all start. Every news story has a title of its own. And before anything else, let's differentiate first these three words: the headline, banner, and the streamer. First is the headline. It is printed in a much bigger and bolder than its body, which is the story itself. It can be seen at the top of the article. Next is the banner. It is a headline of a number one story on page 1. It also includes graphics and images to add visual interest. And the third one is the streamer. It is a small headline that runs across the top of the page and is often used to highlight a secondary story. And now let's proceed to the functions of headline. First is to tell in capsule form what the story is all about. Headline gives a quick overview of what is the main point and giving readers a sense of what they can expect before taking into details. Number 2, to grade news and its importance. Of course, by grading news, it ensures that the most important and relevant stories are given priority and that the audience receives an accurate and useful information. And number 3, to make the page look attractive. By making the page look attractive, it can increase the reader's engagement and encourage them to spend more time on the page. And now let's proceed to the structure of headlines. First is the flash left, where both lines are flashed to the left margin. So from our example here, family planning seminar held. So both lines are flashed the left margin here. And the second structure is the drop line or step form, where the first line is flushed to the left and the second line is indented. For example here, local Boy Scouts bleed for a cause. So the first line is flushed to the left margin. Meanwhile, the second line is indented here. So what happens if there are 3 lines? So, our first line will be flush the left margin, and the second line will be indented, and of course the third line will be flushed to the right side. And the third structure of headline is the inverted pyramid. This is self-explanatory. Each of the 3 or 4 lines in this head is successively shorter than the line above it. So from our example here, school lunches Kalinisan Drive. So school lunches is much longer than the second line, which is Kalinisan, and of course, the third line, which is drive, is much shorter than the second line. So in this kind of structure, it becomes shorter. To form an inverted pyramid. And the fourth structure is the hanging indentation. The first line is flush left. This is followed by 2 indented parallel lines. So here, hanging indentation, example, chief editor bats for more development news. So the first line, which is chief editor, it is flushed to the left margin. Meanwhile, the second and the third line is indented. Yes. And let's proceed to number 5, which is the cross line or bar line. It is a one-line headline that runs across the column. It is the simplest form. It is a single line across the allotted space. For example, local students join clean drive. Number 6 is the boxed headline. It is used for emphasis or art's sake. So the first type of boxed headline is full box. For example, community involvement science camp theme. So in full box, the headline is put into a full box. Just like this. And the second type of box headline is the half box. For example, Campus Paper Catalyst for National Development. So, in this headline, ang hatagan lang og emphasis kay ang Campus Paper Catalyst. Kay maura man siya butangan og box. And the third type of boxed headline is the quarter box. For example, local students, teachers bleed for a cause today. So, in our example here, ang hatagan lang og emphasis kay ang local students, teachers bleed. Here. And the last structure of headline is the jump story headline. It is a story continued on another page. This may be the same as the original headline, or it may just be a word, a phrase, or a group of words followed by a series of dots. For example, local students, ... from page 1. So, in jump story headline, you have to continue reading to another page. And at this juncture, let's talk about the do's and don'ts in writing traditional headline. First is, make your headline answer as many W's as possible. So this typically referring to the 5 W's in journalism. These are the who, what, when, where, and why, and it also includes how. So, by including these key details, it gives readers a clear idea of what the story is about, why it matters, and who it is relevant to. Number 2, the headline should summarize the news story, and it should contain nothing that is not found in the story. Number 3, positive heads are preferable to negative ones. This is because positive headlines tend to inspire hope, optimism, and curiosity. Meanwhile, negative headlines may trigger fear, anxiety, and pessimism. Number 4, put a verb expressed or implied in every deck. Including a verb in every deck helps to make a headline more engaging and informative, as it gives readers a clear idea of what the article is all about and what actions or events is being described. Number 5, omit articles like a, and the all forms of verb to be, unless needed to make meaning clearer. So by omitting articles and forms of to be, it can help writers to create a more streamlined and direct writing styles. Number 6, use the strongest word in the first line as much as possible. So by using the strongest word in the first line, it can help grab readers' attention and draw them into the article. Number 7, the active verb is better than the passive verb in the headlines. So in writing headlines, active verbs are generally preferred because it makes the headline more interesting and engaging. Passive verb, on the other hand, can only make the headline more dull and passive. Number 8, use the present tense for past stories. This is because it creates a sense of immediacy and makes the event feel more relevant to the readers. And the infinitive form for future stories is because it creates a sense of anticipation and makes the event feel more imminent. Number 9, write numbers and figures or spell them out depending on your needs for your unit counts. Number 10, use any of the following headline styles but be consistent once you have adopted one. Letter A, all caps. I have here an example. Character, nationalism, vital cogs in education. So, the headline are all capitalized. Letter B, cap and lowercase. Example, character, nationalism, vital cogs in education. So, every first letter of the word, it is being capitalized and the rest is in lowercase. Letter C is down style. Example. So, only the first first letter of the character is being capitalized and the rest is in the lowercase or in down style. And now let's proceed to the don'ts in writing traditional headlines. First, avoid the following kinds of headlines. Letter A, fathead. In fathead, the spaces between the letters or words are crowded that there are no more spaces between them. The spaces are so small that several words are read as one. For example, BSP lunches drive. So, in this example, there are just small spaces after each word. Letter B, thin head. In thin head, the spaces between or after the words in a line are so wide that the effects is so ugly. Example, BSP lunches drive. So the space after each letter is so wide. So it is so confusing to read. Letter C. It is an incomplete headline, like the label of a product. Example, Christmas party. Letter D, wooden head. In wooden head, it is a very weak headline that is devoid of meaning, sometimes due to the absence of a subject or the lack of verb. For example, to hold excursion. There's somewhat like missing in this headline. Letter E, mandatory head. In mandatory head, it gives a command because it begins with a verb. For example, hold dialogue with principal. So it starts with the verb hold. So it's somewhat like gives you a command. Letter F, screaming head. In screaming head, it is a big and bold headline of a short and unimportant story. A sensational head is another kind of screaming headline. Number 2, don't tell the same thing even though you've used a different word. So we should avoid redundancy. Number 3, don't comment directly and indirectly. Number 4, unless the subject is implied, avoid beginning a headline with a verb. Number 5, don't end a line with a preposition. Number 6, don't break off abbreviations, name, and hyphenated words, because if you're going to break off abbreviations, it will be harder for the reader to understand what you are referring to. Number 7, avoid repeating principal words regardless of the number of decks. So it is important to use vary language and phrasing that are used in conveying information. Number 8, avoid heads that carry double meaning, of course, to avoid confusion and somewhat like not to make the story misleading. Number 9, don't coin abbreviations of your own. Number 10, don't abbreviate days and months. And now let's proceed to punctuating headlines. First, use comma in place of the conjunction and. For example, self-reliance, comma, discipline up at Baguio Confab. So supposedly, and dapat di siya dire. But according to the rules of punctuating headlines, use comma in place of the conjunction and. So it is replaced with a comma. Number 2, two related thoughts should be separated with a semicolon. For example, school joins Operation Linis. PE, Saiti Boys join Estero. So, there are two related thoughts here. The school joins Operation Linis and the PE, Saiti Boys join Estero. And it is separated with a semicolon. Number 3, the dash may be used for smaller decks but not for the headlines in large types. Number 4, the single quotation marks, not the double quotation marks, are used in headlines. For example, cultural development, linggo ng wika theme. So in writing headlines, only the single quotation marks is used, just like in linggo ng wika. Alright? Number 5, follow the other rules of punctuation. And now let's talk about preparing a headline schedule. So a headline schedule is a complete collection of headline types that a particular newspaper uses. This collection should specify the unit, counts for all the heads. Overall, preparing a headline schedule can help you make a plan and organize your content, ensure consistency, save time, and improve your search engine optimization. And now we are in the last part of our discussion, the headline vocabulary. So headline writing is an art or a special skill. To do this, you must have cartloads of special words to use for the sake of simplicity, brevity, and easy reading. However, certain newspaper terms used in headlines are not acceptable in formal writing or usage, nor do they carry their literal meaning as in the case of idioms. So headline vocabulary is important because it can help you capture the attention of your reader or audience and entice them to read your content. The right choice of words can make your headline stand out from the crowd and make your content more appealing. And that is the end of my discussion. Again, I am Jamaica Ogis Bulawan. Thank you for listening and have a great day ahead. Stay safe and stay sane.